Funnel building was literally my job, which is exactly why I can tell you that your funnel is not the reason strangers aren't buying from you. So over the last few years of your career, you've probably gotten genuinely good at what you do. Like your clients see it, people that know you see it, and that's why they all refer you. But the way that your offer talks to strangers hasn't caught up with who you've become. So the best version of you is invisible to everyone who doesn't already know you. And that's actually the problem. When referrals dry up and you start running out of people to go to for sales, smart business owners like yourself do the logical thing. They start tinkering with things to try and get it working, like new funnel templates, new landing pages, new email sequences, maybe even like new software or AI. But of course, the needle doesn't move because the machine was never the problem in the first place. I spent 15 years inside of this stuff. I built funnels at Lead Pages while we grew it to 45,000 paying customers. I ran marketing at Zipify Apps for 6 years where we went from 3,000 users to 13,000 paid users. And while also coaching our users and my own clients, I watched business after business use the same strategy but then get wildly different results. And the difference was never the strategy. It was the messaging that they were using, so not the machine at all. My client Chris was about to quit. He called me up and he was like, I think I'm about to get a job. And we didn't rebuild anything. We just rewrote how his offer was framed for people who didn't already know him. So it finally sounded as good as his actual work. And 90 days later, he was at 30K a month recurring through the same funnel that he already had. In 15 years, I've never seen a funnel tweak or a new funnel save an offer that strangers didn't understand and already kind of partially want. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where offers lose cold audiences. And by the end, you'll be able to see the gap between how good you are and how good you sound to a stranger. And if you want the shortcut, go get my offer grader, which will take your offer. It'll score it in 5 minutes or less for completely free. And the link to that offer grader is in the description. So there's a moment in every business where results stall and things just aren't moving as fast as you want them to. And I call this, the thing that triggers, I call it the rebuild reflex. And that's like when things stall out, we basically start wanting to rebuild the machine that we've built. And honestly, the reflex, it makes total sense because the machine is the part that you can see. You can like log in and you can tinker and do all the stuff. You can audit a landing page, test a subject line, swap out a template, but you can't see your own messaging, at least not the way that a stranger sees it. Rebuilding your funnel without touching your messaging is like swapping out a brand new engine and then pouring gas with like mud and tree sticks in it and just a bunch of crap in it, expecting it to run like a hot rod, even though you've never taken the time to look at what you're feeding into it, and that like what you're feeding into that brand new engine is just junk. So that's why outgrowing your messaging is invisible to you. The growth happened on the inside. Your skill went up, your results went up, your referrals went up. The words just stayed where you were though. And the better you get at your craft, the wider this gap gets because the version of you in your messaging falls further behind the version of you that your clients actually experience when they work with you. So the rebuild reflex, it keeps you swapping out engines while the real problem is sitting in the tank. That's not a character flaw. It's really just a structural blind spot, and every expert has one. So the first time I saw this clearly was when I was working at Lead Pages. We would work with some fairly well-known businesses in the online business space. And what we saw was like, wow, they're crushing it. They're doing this type of funnel, and they did this, and this. And then we would work with our users, and they would be like, okay, we're going to use that same funnel. We're going to do this, and this. And they would get a fraction of the results, if any results at all, compared to the people who were doing really well and fairly well known in the space. And the thing was, their fame and notoriety in the space had nothing to do with it, because at the end of the day, if the engine was the core driver, they should have gotten similar results. However, what we saw was these guys succeeded, and these people over here trying to do the same thing were barely scraping by. And what I found was it wasn't the strategy because they were the same. So comparing apples to apples, those were the same. What was the difference was how these people were talking about it. The people who were successful, they were actually connecting with their audience, showing them that they understood where they were and what they actually were trying to solve. Whereas the people that were struggling, they were using messaging that the audience was like, I don't actually even know what that means, or like, that's not really something that I am looking to solve right now. So I don't think I'm going to buy that. I'm going to go over here and buy this one because that's exactly what I'm looking to solve right now. And so when we started focusing in on that, started seeing that, wow, that's actually making a huge difference, and it's making more of an impact than people realize. And that pattern just kept showing up over and over with not only our users, but clients I was working with and my own stuff. And it got to the point where I realized any funnel will work because somebody is making it work. So it's not the funnel that is the problem. It's what we're putting into the funnel. I was working with a client recently where we built out a complete paid acquisition funnel for her low ticket offer challenge. It was a 30-day challenge for her audience to interact with her, understand what she did, and really it was a way to get interaction with her before she pitched them her high ticket offer. And what we saw in doing that was the process is all the same. We could have used any different funnel that is available to sell high ticket offers. We just chose that one because she found it to be the best way for her to engage with her audience. But what we did was we focused in the messaging in the ads and everything after that on exactly what we knew her audience was looking for and struggling with to solve. So that was what we led with. We led with the things that we knew her audience was like actively looking for solutions to, and then we just linked that to our low ticket offer. And then in the program, she just continued doing that to the point when we finally pitched, people were like frothing at the mouth to get into the program, and it ended up doing $2.5 million just because we followed that strategy of really tuning into what we know her audience wanted and was like struggling with, and showing them we have the path to get you to your next step. And so what this actually looks like when you're trying to upgrade your messaging to like bring it up to the level where you're currently at, but so it also aligns with what your audience is looking for and wants, is taking it from things about you and connecting it more with them. So my client Chris, who I mentioned earlier, he called me and he was like, I don't know, man, I think I'm done. I'm almost out of cash. I might just try and like get a new job. And what I asked was like, well, what are you currently doing? And he told me, and I was like, I don't even know what that means. So it's no wonder, a CEO of a company doesn't want to hire you because like, I don't actually know what it means. So he's not going to know what it means. I know you as a person, so I know like the value that you bring would be there. But like if somebody doesn't know you, they're not going to, fork over $20K to like sign a contract. And so after talking back and forth for a little while, like I was like, well, what are you actually doing? And it was some stuff around marketing automation and that kind of stuff. And it was like, okay, well, I don't think people really want marketing automation. They want what that's going to give them. So what do they get out of your services when they use your marketing automation stuff? And what we found was that what he was really doing was helping people make more money from the email contacts they already had by creating different segments and different automations that move people around in their system based on criteria that Chris set. And then the result was however much X increase in revenue without having to add more people to their list. And I was like, oh my God, dude, like that's what you need to lead with, is I'll help you 10X your revenue from your email list without adding one new contact. I don't know any CEO who wouldn't at least want to talk about that. And after a few iterations of going through this, what we found was he started talking more about data enablement, and he became a data enablement specialist who helps you make more from the contacts you already have. And that instantly set him apart from everybody else selling marketing automation, because nobody really knows what that means. Nobody really wants that. But everybody that I know that has a business wants to make more from the contacts they have. And when that happened, not only did he start seeing people actually wanting to hear more about what he had to offer, but he started closing more deals. And like I mentioned, in 90 days, he was from almost quitting to 30K in recurring revenue. And now it's even gone even further. He's even more clear in what he delivers. So he's even more confident about that. And when he gets on the phone with somebody, his close rate is insane because he's so confident. The confidence comes through in his sales conversations. And then people are actually hunting him down to pay him. And that's a complete flip from where he was at when he started. And literally all he did was change how he was talking about what he did so it aligned with what people actually wanted. So I created the cold conversion matrix to essentially help map out all of the different points that you need to hit with your messaging to make sure that it resonates with your target audience so people actually buy. And I'm not going to cover all of them, but if you want to see how your offer measures up against, just go to the offer grader that's linked below in the description, and it'll run it through there for free, and then you can get a grade based on where you're currently standing, and it'll tell you what you need to fix. And I want to call out a couple because they're some of the most important ones that I see as like really having a huge impact on how your audience perceives your value. So number one is mirror depth. And that just means how deep are you getting into describing their exact situation, where they're currently at, what their current frustrations are, the problems they keep bumping into, and then what that causes, the spiral that happens from that. Like how much time are you spending dialing that in and really showing that you get it? Like you want to agitate that pain. So really at the end of the day, they hear what you say and they're like, oh my gosh, like it's like he's in my head. It's like, I've thought that so many times. I can't believe that he's saying that. The next one is root cause naming. And this is one I find experts like really struggle with because they're so good at what they do and they understand everything that's going on with their ideal prospects that they just want to jump right to naming the root cause that's causing the problem. And the issue with that is that flags people and almost puts them back like, I don't really think I have that problem. I actually have this problem over here. So a way to highlight this is a lot of times what people will say if like somebody was like dehydrated and they were having headaches, what they would be saying is like, hey, the reason you're having headaches is because you're dehydrated and you just need to drink more water. And then somebody could then come in and say, no, I drank plenty of water yesterday. That's not it. Like, I don't believe you. Whereas if you said, hey, are you struggling to sleep at night? And no matter what you do, if you take stuff, if you meditate, if you breathe, like you're still struggling to sleep at night. And then when you wake up, you almost feel like you're hungover. And then that hangover continues in through the day. And then it just like, you just keep having this headache that keeps happening and happening and happening. And no matter what you do, nothing seems to relieve it. Well, I want to tell you that so an example I like to use to highlight this specific thing is a lot of times, let's say your prospect has a broken elbow and you come in and say like, hey, the reason you have a broken elbow is because you're standing wrong and your posture's off and it's causing your muscles to tighten. And then like when you fell, it actually was so tight in your elbow that it broke. Whereas if it was more flexible, you wouldn't have broke your elbow. That just opens up the door for people to say, like, that's not true. Like, I'm very flexible. I can move my arms all around. But instead, if you met them where they were and really describe their situation so that like you could explain why that actually happened, that's what we need to do. But most experts, because they're just so good at what they do, they cut right to that. And then that triggers the person to say, eh. So instead, if they said, hey, do you sleep on your side every day? And when you wake up, are your shoulders really sore? When you're standing at or sitting at your desk, do you hunch your shoulders over? Are you constantly dealing with stress? Maybe you even have headaches. And like you're just describing all of their stuff and you're creating that mirror depth. And then you say like, and then when you fell, like you fell on your elbow and your elbow broke, right? And they would be like, oh my God, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So what do all those things have to do with my elbow? And then you can open up the door to say, well, because your shoulders were so tight, it was pulling on your bicep and your tricep, which were putting extra pressure on your elbow. When you landed on it, it had so much pressure that it didn't have anywhere to go or flex, so it just broke. In the future, if we want to like relieve that so it doesn't happen again, we actually have to start with your neck and your shoulders and your back and in everything that leads up to your shoulder so that your body's more flexible and it can absorb the shock. That's a way that like we need to get into the actual root cause of it without just saying, hey, your shoulders are tight and that's why your elbow broke. So hopefully that story makes sense, but that's essentially what we're trying to do. And then the last one is a really quick one, the 90-10 ratio. Really, we want everything in our messaging to be like 90% about your audience's current situation, what they're going through, the problems they're struggling with, and everything around that, and 10% about us and our offer and our program or whatever it is we're selling. But most people have it flipped. It's like, hey, I'm going to tell you about why I'm so awesome. I'm going to tell you my background. I'm going to tell you all of this stuff. When most people, they don't care about that. They just care about what's in it for them. So we have to give them what's in it for them and show them like, hey, I understand you by clearly describing their situation. And then that opens the door to say, well, who is this guy? Okay, yeah, well, let me tell you really quickly about me, and then let's bring it back to you. So if you're really good at what you do and you get great results for the clients you do get, and maybe you're even referred to as the best kept secret in your market, we want to move you from the best kept secret to being a trusted authority that people look to for solving the problem that they have. They actively pursue you. And the main way to do that is focusing on how you're talking about what you do so it resonates with the people who are looking for it. Even if you know they're looking for something else, but it leads to what you do, you just have to meet them where they are and match all of the points on the cold conversion matrix, and you'll be just fine. And again, if you want to see how your offer or your messaging is stacking up and you want to get an actual grade based on the cold conversion matrix, just go to the offer grader that's linked in the description below this video, and you can put in all of the stuff about your offer and it'll give you a grade for free. And it'll tell you what's maybe lacking a little bit and what you can do to fix it up and move it up to the next level. And let me know in the comments, like, what are you feeling is the thing that's keeping leads from buying the most in your current existence of a business right now? All right, with that, here's to better messaging. Remember, it's almost never the engine, it's almost always the messaging. So go out, fix it, make sure that it connects with your ideal audience and what they're actively looking for, and that's always going to help. All right, take care.